Alright, trying this again. See if it worked this time. I'm gonna give it a minute. Morning world, how y'all doing today? What's up, Michael? I'm still waiting for that professional photo shoot. It's been like 5 years, so I'm not sure if it's ever coming or not, but I didn't forget. So the topic of the day is the African experience. I spent a lot of time yesterday just talking about how you get there, how much it costs, and this and that, but I didn't get a chance to talk about like the experience. I had a lot of people asking about foods and the slave dungeons and the cost of stuff. I mean, and just, you know, how it is to live there on a day-to-day basis, and I didn't want to get off the topic, so I saved all that for today. So anybody got questions about, you know, the life, the day-to-day experience of moving to another continent and being in Africa, that's what I want to talk about today. So open floor, go for it. Laws on cannabis. Well, it's kind of funny. It's quote unquote illegal. It has been for the past like 10 or 11 years. But the thing about it is, with the relationship between the people and the police in Ghana, it's a lot different than the people and the police here. So for instance, stuff like weed and stuff like that, the police, if they were to try to come and enforce that in a neighborhood, they would probably get run out of the neighborhood. Like a person who's been smoking weed for 1,000 years and all of a sudden you want to tell me that it's illegal and bad for me, yeah, it doesn't really fly. People smoke weed on the beaches. People smoke weed, you know, outside their homes. People smoke weed. People smoke weed, you know. I'll be sitting at the beach smoking a hookah, and, you know, I'll have a girl walk up and light her joint off of my flame, you know, just to, you know, it's an icebreaker conversation starter, but it happens. People smoke. But yeah, it is quote unquote illegal. It's one of our colonial laws. You know, it's a new thing. It's not something that Africans have historically banished. So, but yeah, it's up there and we use it. Is the flooding as bad in Ghana as I've heard? The flood was in Accra. Tema is about 15 minutes from Accra, and Tema was not affected. So we're not talking about a big flood that even would stretch a matter of miles. It came and it went. A lot of the pictures that are floating around are from a flood that happened a couple years ago that was pretty bad. So I touched on that yesterday, but I see people are still asking. But yeah, the place where my family and my friends live is called Tema, which is about 15 minutes from the capital city of Accra. The capital city is where the flood hit around the 9th, and it didn't even reach to the place where my family stays. So that's about the magnitude of the flood that we're talking about. What up, little bro? I see you. Ordering from them, you're not paying for food. You're like, well, we're not going to eat all this. Well, I'll finish that. Well, why order you? It don't be nothing on the radio here. I got a nice little sketch, but the only person I can swing from is become two candidates. And then go for life. And also, my daughter's born day was when she turned 8. What's the paper? Not too much, man. On here trying to tell people about going to Africa. Yeah, it's harder to do it in text, but this live thing is kind of cool. You look really laid back. Yeah, I'm just chilling right now. You know, don't get much more laid back past that. Here you go, bro. You supposed to have came up and smoked with me anyway. Play too much. Yeah, I'm gonna be coming up there to see my nephew though before I fly out. So yeah, y'all, my little brother just had a baby. Both my little brothers just had babies. My little sister is having a baby soon. My other little sister, she just had a baby. I've got a lot of new nieces and nephews, so feeling good about that. Family expanding. How much of a culture shock was it, the transition from the States? It wasn't really that shocking. Like I said, people speak English, so you don't really have to worry about learning the language right away. It's good to do it, you know, just to get reconnected with your own culture. But, you know, people speak English, so you don't really have to do that. It's not a shock in that way. People are really friendly. The biggest shock, I guess, would be going from being a minority to going to a place where all you see is people who look like you. And, you know, you see so many of us together, and it's not like you don't get that stereotypical negativity, you know. It's just like, I guess the biggest real shock or thing that I had to get adjusted to, like I said yesterday, was heat. You know, it gets up to 120 degrees, and the coldest it gets around in the wintertime is like 70. So you're talking about a drastic change from a dude who's from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where it snows every year for the majority of the year. So it's got enough familiarity where you won't get homesick. But then at the same time, you know for sure you in a different country on a different continent, and you know there's a lot of stuff that's different. What's my take on Jesse Williams? Is that, I think you're talking about the guy who gave the speech. I liked his speech. I don't know that much about him as a person, besides that he did come out and speak at a lot of the rallies where people got murdered and this and that. So I mean, publicly he does a lot of what a lot of celebrities won't do. So I can't really say who, you know, about him personally. I don't know. And I know a lot of people have agendas, and I've jumped up in support of a lot of celebrities in the past and it turned out to be wrong. The whole thing with Akon with the lighting in Africa, that turned out to be bull. You know, I'm just real skeptical, and I want to look into a lot of things before I come out and put my endorsement on a person's name. But he seemed cool enough from what he said yesterday. I got 2 tickets I haven't used. I'll be up there soon too. All right, bro. I hear you. I want to see you. Morning, Peaceful. How you doing? I need to holler at you before you leave from the shot. No, I'm not in Houston, but I will be near Chicago before I leave, so inbox me. What's up, Dave? How you doing? Should have started with the temp thing. Oh, the heat. I mean, come on, man. Like, we deal with worse. We deal with worse than heat, you know. But at the same time, the 120 and all of that, it's not as bad. Once you get there, you get off the plane, you had that initial adjustment. I sleep every night with a fan anyway, whether I'm in the U.S., whether I'm whatever. I mean, so it doesn't really. It's not nothing that you wouldn't sacrifice for the things that you get in return. My thoughts on black empowerment. I don't think I can be any more clear about that. But if you could be more specific on the question, maybe I'll try to elaborate. What was the real deal with Akon? Well, long story short, Akon don't have $1 billion. Akon got $1 billion loan from China, and Chinese people were using Akon as kind of the Trojan horse to get into Africa. Whereas people don't necessarily trust Europeans, you know, and they don't necessarily trust the Chinese. But for the longest time, they've been able to use us and our own celebrities and our own people to infiltrate. So Akon got $1 billion loan from the Chinese, and he started putting power in certain places, not necessarily places where the power was necessary, but he was putting it in places where there were active elections and active transitions of government, and using that leverage to raise, I want to say, uprisings against other political leaders and get Chinese-backed leaders and Chinese-affiliated leaders put into place at those times. So, for instance, you go to a place where there is, no power. There's several places in Africa where there's no power, but those places weren't being given the attention. But this particular place would have an election that just so happens to be going on at the same time. Akon comes in, puts power in the places around it. The people who are there then start putting pressure on their own government to embrace Akon and China's program. And if they don't, they will uprise against that leader and push for a new leader, and here comes Akon with China's back leader. That happened in several places before people started putting the pieces together. You can look it up now. There's articles that are explaining what I'm explaining to you now. But originally, it just came out that Akon had $1 billion and he was going to launch this program to put power in all of Africa. But, you know, if you look deeper and dig deeper, you find what I just told you is the actual case. So, I had to go back and retract and say, look, I put out my support in this way, but new information changed my mind. We all have to be open to that. And unfortunately, that was the case. Akon was bought by China, and he was given $1 billion to seed Chinese leaders into African regions, and that's pretty much what was happening. It may still be happening. Let's see, when are you leaving? Man, as soon as humanly possible. Snow worse than heat. Snow is worse than heat. Yeah, heat is good. That vitamin D is good for you. That snow, it was nice when you were a kid, but it's like nothing good about it. I advise people to try Arizona first, then Africa. I mean, you couldn't even handle Arizona. What you talking about? I'll take snow over heat. Nah, I don't know about all that. I'm wondering how long it will be before they shut him down. That's the thing. Are you talking about Jesse? What's his name? If they don't shut him down, then I mean that's kind of the question. Like, why is he getting to talk about this stuff on TV? I mean, half the people that were in the crowd clapping, I'm looking at them like, I mean, why are y'all clapping? Y'all should be saying what he's saying. Y'all should have said what he was saying 20 years ago. Y'all been in 20, 40 movies and, haven't opened your mouth to say nothing. So, I don't know. If he's able to stand up there and say all that stuff and nobody stops him and he still gets given interviews next week and they keep putting him on stage, one has to start to think that maybe there's a reason why they're doing that. Shit. Oh shit. Same story, different day. Jalen Harden, spin winner in Canada. Now you can. What can we do to unite in every city without our brothers being territorial? I'm not sure. Are you mean like different movements or somebody wanting to be a leader and have their particular group and they don't want to like, I think I kind of get what you're saying, but be a little more specific and I'll try to answer. You should start holding these on the schedule. Maybe I will. We'll see. I mean, I wouldn't mind. I like talking. I'm always on Facebook most of the time anyway. But texting is a little bit easier because you can multitask. This right now, I pretty much have to focus.
Sure, it takes a little longer, but it's the only way to ensure our famous farmhouse taste is baked into every delicious slice. Try some, and you'll see why at Pepperidge Farm we believe slow is good. Pepperidge Farm Farmhouse Bread. Slow is good.
Mako, one of the ocean's most ferocious predators, unrivaled in power, unmatched in speed. Until now, Mako, Orlando's tallest, fastest, longest coaster, has serviced at SeaWorld.
I hate the radio here, man. It's nothing ever on. Oh, wow. That was unexpected. I don't know what that has to do with Africa. This one, they say it's called Strawberry Cough. I heard it's supposed to be like one of the top strands or top 20 strands or some shit like that. But that's what everybody say about everything. Well, okay, one big movement, but one leader in every city to keep balance and discipline within that movement. I mean, it depends. I mean, for me, I think that this is something that the whole idea of sovereignty is that we don't necessarily need a leader. I think that if we all can agree on what the idea is, which is liberation, which in my opinion is getting the hell up out of here, then we don't necessarily need 50 separate leaders in the 50 states to, you know what I'm saying, guide us out of that. You know what I'm saying? The process is what it is, and each of us have our own like obligations. I know everybody wants to bring their own family members. Everybody I mean, we don't need a leader in order to do that. And what that does to me, putting a leader on something gives it a point of weakness or a point of attack. So I feel like, and it will slow us down as well. You have to sit there and wait. How do we get to the point where we got 50 leaders? Do we vote them in? Do we go through the process? How much time do we think that we have here to do that? So, I mean, I don't know. I think everybody has a different plan, but my plan or my idea of the plan, I wouldn't necessarily go in that way, to have 50 individual leaders to teach us something as simple as how to get up out of here. How you doing, Finesse? How is everything in Chi-Town right now? Are they free from GMOs in Ghana? GMOs are banned, but I wouldn't say we free of them because we still import food from other places, and there's no way to really know. So for the most part, what a lot of people do, I know what me and the people that I know in Ghana, what we do is we shop with the local merchants instead of going to the grocery store, which is what just about everybody does, except for like tourists and people from other places. But if you are shopping with local merchants, chances are they're growing their own stuff. You know, it's from authentic organic seeds, and you don't have anything to worry about. But when you come to going to the grocery stores, most of them get their food from, you know, import or whatever the case may be. So GMOs exist in Ghana, but if you making a conscious effort to avoid GMOs and to avoid any type of clone foods or whatever, it's very easy to do. So I'm starting to think they have a bigger plan for us. How come the quiet decides to speak now? E.g. Jesse. In my opinion, it's like, I think I tried to explain this on one of my posts before. It's kind of like control opposition. It's like, if you can get me to embrace the lesser evil, then I'll go along. It's better for you that I do that than what I'm trying to do, which is get us the fuck up out of here. For instance, like when slavery, quote unquote, was ending or whatever, and the slaves fled to the north instead of going home. And the north was supposed to be the beacon of hope, even though the north was built by slaves just like the south was built by slaves. It's the same exact concept. So we go with the lesser evil and all move up north, when in reality we need to have been leaving. Hold on 1 second, everybody. My mom apparently wants something, and she can't see that I'm on live talking to everybody in the world. Yes, mother, do you not see I'm talking to the world? What do you want? No. What is it? What is it? Huh? Okay. So anyway, so in this case, you got people like Jesse speaking out and telling us that, one, he's right about certain things. Like, yeah, we've been treated wrong. We need to realize that we're better than this and we shouldn't accept it. But at the same time, all these people are telling us that we should fight for equality here, or fight to be happier here, or fight to have better conditions here, and this and that and the third here, which at the end of the day, it does nothing for our overall global condition. The way I see it, and the way I've tried to explain it 100 times, let's say every black American lived lavishly and we had all the rights and police weren't killing us and we had free education and just, I mean, this is paradise for all black people. It still operates solely off the rape of Africa, so it doesn't matter. You're still going to be contributing to everything that you claim to despise, everything that you claim to unite, to fight against. You won't have done anything about it. You'll just be happier while you're helping be a slave. Like, it's just, I don't understand the concept. So it makes sense to me now that there's this big push for African Americans to leave. We're going to Ghana in record numbers. Everything's happening as far as a mass exodus building up to happen, and now you've got leaders, or I wouldn't call them leaders, but like you said, silent people, stepping up all of a sudden telling us, oh no, we got to fight for our place here, we got to fight to fix the issues here. All of a sudden, these things that they've been ignoring for decades, now it's okay in the public to get on here and tell us that we need to fight up and stand up for our place here in America. I think that it's manipulative, and I think anybody with a brain can see it. Like, you had the, you got the idea to ask the question. Something seems like it's not right about it. And that's the same thing I'm saying. So like I said, we'll see how it progresses, how they continue, if they continue to give him airtime or not, or if it seems like they start to blacklist him for what he said. But then you'll know whether it's part of a plan or not. But to me, it just doesn't seem, I won't say his words didn't seem authentic, because they did. But the whole scheme of it and it being allowed to be on this show doesn't seem authentic to me. GMOs will forever be an issue for the states. Jalen, little bro, it will, as long as, well, it will, period, because the U.S. is what it is. And to me, I don't think there is no reversing what the U.S. is. But right now, a lot of people still don't know, and I'm gonna keep saying this because I know a lot of people still don't know. The company that creates genetically modified foods, GMOs, is called Monsanto. The vice president of Monsanto was made into the chairman of the the Food and Drug Administration in 2012 by President Obama. So that means the company that creates GMO foods, their vice president is the same person who gets to approve what foods are safe and not safe for the United States citizens to eat. So it's no surprise that every time a genetically modified food comes out, it is approved by the FDA. Why would they refuse it? Why would they deny it when they're the same ones that are going to profit from the sale of it because they own the company that makes it? I mean, it's just common sense. So GMOs will forever be an issue in the United States. You look around the world, just about every other developed country has banned Monsanto and kicked them out of the country, and they're actually under investigation right now for all kinds of chemical warfare. But at the same time, the United States is still not only not banning them, but approving every food that they come out with, from new clone genetic modified bulls. I don't know if you guys seen the pictures of these things. It's like it's twice the size of a cow, and it doesn't have skin, and the muscles are on the outside. Like, that shit is crazy. And they just get approved like magic. That's why, in case nobody knew. Hey mom, yeah, mom just jumped all in the video. She see me, she didn't care. Is there an average hourly wage out there? If so, can you speak on it? The way that wages works in Ghana, I kind of agree that it should be this way too, kind of in the United States. Whereas if you don't have a maximum wage, then you shouldn't really have a minimum wage. People work for what they are willing to work for, and you won't be able to get a worker paying less than what the job is worth. And it's pretty much the market balances itself in that way. So for instance, the way it doesn't come out hurting people is where, say in America, you've got, I remember when I lived in Searcy, Arkansas, and I worked at this grocery store called Food King, and I was a stocker, and they paid me $5.15 an hour. I was fine with that. I was in high school. It was a side job for me. I worked a couple of hours a day, and, you know, I got paid every Friday. It was just high school money. Now, all of a sudden, here comes a law saying that minimum wage has to be $7.25 or whatever the case may be. This store now cannot afford to hire me because I'm willing to work for $5.15. Now they've been forced to raise their minimum wage above what what they can afford to pay me. Or they could pay me $7.25 and then they have to start raising their prices and blah, 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 blah. So, the minimum wage thing, it actually ends up hurting in a way. So in Ghana, whereas you won't have that issue where if I have a kitchen, for instance, I have a family restaurant and I want to hire, a worker for the day or a worker for the week, and I want to agree to them on a term of payment or whatever the case may be, or this is how bartering and this and that is meant to work, as opposed to the government mandating to me that I have to pay this amount of money and then they're going to tax that and this and that. So no, it's not really an hourly wage. You pretty much will learn the market by finding out what people will and won't work for. And that's pretty much how that works. I never understood why, with all the resources, why Africa needs paper money from places that don't. This is such a complex topic, but it's not. Money is really not anything but paper, and the fact that it's being traded for oil, diamonds, gold, all of our precious resources, labor, is sad and pathetic, but it's something that's been long standing since a long time ago when there was a mass deception, and now we've pretty much been living off of that for a very long time. It's as simple as figuring out, that we are being deceived and everything falls apart. It's not even something that has to really be drastically addressed. It's a matter of us simply refusing once we figure out what's going on. But yeah, the fact that we don't need paper money, Africa does not need paper money from anyone. What happens is right now, like we said yesterday, the dollar is the world reserve currency. Right now, as it stands, everyone's using paper money, which is at the end of the day leaning on the dollar, which is dying. So it's a sad situation. And a lot of countries are individually trying to break away from that because they have seen the writing on the wall of what's coming when this dollar collapses. And they have been trying individually to break away from the dollar and back their own currency on their own minerals, their own labor, their own water, their own oil. And what happens is when that happens, they're labeled as terrorists for breaking away from the European model. And their leaders are then replaced or murdered, and their countries are invaded, and they're replaced with a puppet leader who turns back around and jumps back on the dollar, and then everything's okay again, and then it disappears out of the news again, and everybody moves on with their lives. But Libya was one example of a country that tried to do that, tried to introduce a gold-backed currency, and we saw what happened to them. So Africa does not need paper money, and more of us are realizing that we don't. But it's up to the world to help. And when I say the world, I'm not talking about, we know who I'm not talking about. I'm talking about Africa's global citizens. It's up to us to turn around and help the next time that happens. The next time a country like Libya has the courage to stand up and say, to hell with this, we're not going to do this anymore. We're going to come out with our own money. We've got the resources. We got the people. You know what I'm saying? We're going to do this ourselves. And then when the world turns around and tries to say these are terrorists, these people are killing their own people, or we got to get our troops over there and stop them, or whatever, it's up to us to globally turn around and say no. Because how many of y'all actually stood up and said something when Libya was going on? As many of us that's saying something now, if we had said something then, something maybe would have happened. So, we have to be able to take accountability in that way, because that's the only way we are going to be able to break away. One country at a time does it, one country at a time gets shut down. But if 10 or 20 countries did it, how are they going to claim all 20 of them countries are terrorists? How they gonna claim all 20? They have to show their true colors. Make them show their true colors. Make them just fucking go over there and start bombing. Make them show what they are really about and stop hiding behind charades and Al-Qaeda's and all this bullshit. I mean, that's the way I see it. Okay, why educational institutes don't teach Egyptian history and why they're stalling with our reparations? I know you know the answer to that. You know why they're not telling us about our history. If everybody knew what I know, boy, boy, boy. Interesting enough, most people of color are not even from Africa. Their ancestors lived right here in the USA, and they are the original Indians. So let me address this, or I'll just put it to, where did the Indians come from? I'll wait. Alright. Thank you. They came from Africa. So everybody came from Africa. And just because we came here before Columbus, just because some of us came over here before Columbus did, does not mean that after Columbus came, millions of us were not brought between 1492 and 1850 against our will. So just because the same Africans who are already here are the same Africans who was brought later, doesn't mean that the slave trade didn't happen or that, you know, we're not of African descent. Even the ones who were already here before the slave ships are still of African descent. So I don't understand the argument or why that comes up every time Africans, Americans, or black people start talking about going back home. What's the purpose of that even interjecting into what I'm saying right now? Are you trying to dissuade us from going, or are you trying to get us to embrace the American culture? What is the purpose of you even saying that? That's what I want to know. So say Food King again. Food King. Is there a tax system on income? Some places are taxed, and there's a tax on businesses. For instance, like we have to pay to have an incorporation. It's like $100 a year. But then if you go to the beach, they run a tourism attraction. So every time you go in there, for instance, or for an event anyway, some beaches are free. But for instance, I go to Labadi a lot, Labadi Beach, and you'll pay like 5 cedis to get in, and then there'll be like 1 cedi or 2 cedis, the VAT tax, and that VAT tax is taxed to certain businesses that do tourism or make money from tourism, and so you'll get taxed in your income in that way. I don't get that tax, but it's not necessarily like the way we are taxed in America, like 23% of your income, and all that stuff like that. That's not the way it works. Good day, Nana. Good to see you helping save people. Central bankers, global elites. Human cloning, I heard it was real. It's been happening for years since the CIA first developed in 1963. Now, my question, why are they harvesting and these organs used for cloning? If you're talking about blood harvesting in Africa, first of all, with cloning, I'm not sure. I've read about it. I've heard about it. It may or may not be real. I'm not sure. With blood harvesting, I know that there's been talk about that with the harvesting of melanin and the creation of melanin injections like melanotan. I'm not talking about melatonin. I know every time I talk about that on a post, you have all these people that jump on there talking about, oh, melatonin's not what makes you black. Melanotan is what I'm talking about. It's a tannin injection that injects a synthetic melanin made. You have to have a real source of melanin to create a synthetic melanin compound. So don't start trying to tell me how synthetic means not real. The melanin is real, and once it is manipulated and combined with other ingredients to create a serum, the serum is synthetic melanin. So they have melanin injections, and there's been talk of blood harvesting experiments. You all have probably, a lot of you are probably familiar with what Liberia was saying during the whole Ebola crisis, that they were actually storming hospitals and taking people out, rescuing quote unquote patients from these hospitals because they believed that blood harvesting experiments were being done on these people. and they've been right before. We know about U.S. U.S. biochemical laboratories that have been set up in these countries, and so it all makes sense to say that they would be doing this there. Why wouldn't you build such a facility on your own soil unless you needed something that's there that's not here, like the people? So I wouldn't be surprised to hear about that. But as far as them being used for cloning, I don't know, but being used for something, we know. And in case anybody else missed that, melanin is on the market right now, on the public market, not the black market. It's available, and its price is listed at 10 times the cost of gold. It's right now $383 per gram, and gold, I think it's priced at an ounce right now. If you pin grams, you'll see that it's about 10 times the cost of gold right now. Exactly, man. A Khazarian scheme. Can you educate people on them? They seem to be the only major kingdom of antiquity, and no one knows, but they are tied to everything in secrecy. Yeah, they're called by plenty of different names, but we're talking about all the same people. So, powers in its people. I think gold should be replaced for this paper money because it's easy to remake money, but gold can be recycled. What do you think about that? I mean, that's the way we always did it. I mean, money was made of things that could be tangible. You know what I mean? You only could make as much money as the resources that you had. That's the way that you stayed within the balance of the place that you were in. That's how you didn't outgrow your resources. You know, even when money started being coined, coins were made of tangible things. A nickel is made of nickel. A penny is made of copper. Copper is used in wiring. Copper is worth something. As far as paper money, that's not backed by anything. It's no longer even a promise. It's not even a promissory note for gold anymore. It's nothing. So with that model and that system, there's no choice or no other outcome but to end up raping your land of more than what you had, to end up with your people in debt with less than what they ever could have hoped to have. So, you know, yeah, we have to replace paper money back with resource-backed currency, or just trading our resources or whatever. That's how, you know, life, that's how balance is achieved and maintained. You're breaking up. Do the saying of melanin again. Which part broke up? The cost of it, right now it's at 10 times the cost of gold. What it is, it's the compound in your blood that makes your skin black, as along with a lot of other properties. It absorbs sunlight. It is like the key element and component of life. So technically speaking, we're being hunted for what's in our DNA. Exactly. It doesn't get more simply put than that. Question: what actions do you think people should take if they are not allowed to leave the land of the beast? Also, question number 2: what do you think the end game is going to be from your point of view? I know you are filled with knowledge. I'm filled with curiosity, first of all, and that's the first step of becoming knowledgeable about anything, is to know that you pretty much don't know anything, and always look for the truth, you know, and always be able open to questioning even what you think you know all the time. What steps do I think people should take if we're not allowed to leave? The first thing I think we should do is try to leave, because at the time that at the very point where we are ready to do that, even if they try to stop us, number one, the moment they try to stop us, so many other eyes will become open to the fact that we are living in a prison. That's our number one issue right now, is that most of us don't get it yet. Most of us don't understand what's really going on. And most of the people right now sitting at home really still don't even believe that half the things that we're saying are true. Now, if 10, 20, 30,000 of us get up and just try to leave this place, and they try to stop us publicly, we will have so many more soldiers on our side instantly to say, oh my God, it's real. They were right. They're trying to stop us. They wouldn't let us leave if we wanted. And that's what we need. There's no other choice. So number two, what do you think the end game is going to be from your point of view? I think if we don't leave here, it's going to be a mass extermination. If you can't see it coming, if you don't feel it, if you haven't already seen it, I don't know what else to tell you. It's so clear. They're killing us in public, on TV, with cameras. People fighting for body cams. They've been killing us on camera. How many times have you seen us already be killed on camera? What's a body cam going to do? You know what I'm saying? People are talking about getting up guns and whatever. They got so many weapons you wouldn't even... They got the purge coming out. The purge election year. Are y'all kidding? Come on, man. What do y'all want them to do? Get out here and dance on it? Like, if you can't see it coming, I don't know what to tell you. So I think the end game is extermination. We need to get up out of here, and while we still can. They're making it harder and harder on a daily basis to get a passport. They're increasing the price on a daily basis to renounce your citizenship. You know, they're making the countries and stuff that we want to go to look less and less desirable every day. They're trying to manipulate us, you know, in every way to stay here. They got these celebrities coming out on TV now trying to give us hope that things are about to turn around and change in America, and people are starting to care, and, you know, no, don't believe it, blah, 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 things are changing. You believe that? Do you not fear that if all African people were to turn home, the USA would use that as an opportunity to eliminate y'all by sending their troops to overturn y'all? If the US or any other country... Oh, I'm sorry. I think I just deleted your comment. Oh my God, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. If you can repost what you said, please do it again. But what I was going to say is along the lines of us going home is not going to affect their intentions. For instance, if they were going to invade Africa, if they felt like they could put troops and boots on the ground in every country just like that, they would do it. Us being here or there wouldn't make the difference. So there's a reason why they haven't been able to do that. There's a reason they have to sit back and systematically manipulate the world every time they want to invade one country. There's a reason why they lie to us, and, you know, it keeps us dormant. If they could just do whatever they want to do just like that, as clearly as you think, it would be done. They fear our retaliation. They fear our unity. They fear what we would do if we see them for what they are. So us going home is not going to it's not going to make them be more barbaric. They're already barbaric. So we shouldn't have that as a fear that keeps us grounded in a place that we know for sure is going to be a slaughterhouse for us. Your thoughts on RFID chips? I mean, we've seen and heard and read about them. You've seen that people are already getting them, so it's not really even a myth. It's physical evidence that it exists, and you already know that they have a tendency to take something that they think is mandatory or that they think is safe or think is profitable, and they've sold you on the idea that it's safe. They have the resources and the capabilities to make it free. So the next thing they'll do is make it mandatory, like a vaccine. So it's like writing on the wall. It's like, how many times do we have to see the same story play out before we start to jump ahead and save ourselves? RFID chips, yeah, you see it exists. Look up. Is it a fact or myth that the space shuttle is sprayed with melanin to stop it from burning up? If melanin ain't a natural occurring resource, where is NASA getting it from? NASA's getting it from the same place that the melanotan people are getting it from. It's harvested from people. And melanin is not something, a lot of people say that you can get it from black aborted fetuses. You can get one sample from a black aborted fetus. The sample has to be, melanin can't be reproduced and it can't be sustained. So you have to get, if you want to keep the same sample of melanin, you have to get it from the same person, and you have to get it over and over time, and that person has to be alive. So melanin is harvested. It's not something that is recreated or something that is you know, able to be duplicated in a lab. You have to keep getting it. And as far as it being sprayed on spaceships, I'm not sure if it's sprayed or however they do it, but you would need that same chemical compound to get through certain things that are in space. That's all the black in space is melanin. They keep saying they don't know what it is, or that it's dark matter, or the majority of the universe is made up of something black that you can't see. We know it's there, but we don't know what, you know what it is. You just don't want to tell us, because we'll put 2 + 2 together and realize, you know, who and what we are and how we are the same as the genetic makeup of the universe. And when we say we are God, whether you understand it or get it or not, it doesn't mean that we're not right. I believe it's just a modern day slave plantation. They still need workers. Absolutely. And what's any slave plantation, or what's any prison without its slave labor or without its workers? It's nothing. It will collapse overnight, the same day. It defeats its entire purpose of existence if it doesn't have workers. So that's why I say we need to leave. You know what I mean? That's one reason why I say we need to leave. In every facet, it's the most logical first step for us to contribute to Africa's liberation is to stop contributing to its demise. Everything that we do here, every day we spend here, the resources that we sustain just to live our daily lives comes from the rape of Africa. How can we claim to want to help if we're not even willing to let go of our comforts, you know what I'm saying, to dedicate our efforts to them? I mean, I don't know. That's just my take on my dedication to the cause. Truth be told, keep speaking. Many are awakened but are doing nothing. And that's what it's, you know, that's the sad thing. It does no good for you to know if you're still not going to change who and what you are. You know what I mean? People who know me can look back at my life and tell you I've always been a caring person, which is probably why I let the information that I learned change me. But at the same time, I used to be a different person. You know what I'm saying? My values and the things that were important to me were different. You know what I'm saying? Were probably typical, right? Or stereotypical. You know what I mean? You know, and that's what it is. You can't just awaken and choose that you're still going to keep doing the same thing. Otherwise, you're no good. That's how, you know, Marcus Garvey said. He said, I have no intention nor desire to take every black person back to Africa. It's some Negroes that's no good to us here, and it will be no good to us there. Can't argue with that. You know, so if you're going to wake up and call yourself awake or call yourself conscious, but you're not going to do anything, or you're not going to be a part of the movement, or you're going to still sit by silent in times of injustice, then what good are you? Thanks. Same inputs I have. The end game is near. I saw it years ago, just getting things in order. Like I told you the other day, it's coming. The USA is really bad off. Been this way for centuries. No need for people to think the beast will change. Thanks for information. It's so crazy. All right. How long has it been? Hey, bro, how you doing, man? What are your thoughts on creating a true black coalition to rebuild a black Wall Street independent black economy? using one or two of the top leaders from every black group of individuals to keep many of us that are divided informed with the same information instead of different beliefs. Most people don't take heed to local intellects like us the same as they would take heed to some info coming from Farrakhan and other leaders. Maybe forming a coalition with one goal and one mission would work. Well, to be honest, Emma, in my opinion, that's a lot of topics, but I'm really about to try to get them all because I think that it does tie together. I'm gonna go in order. My thoughts on creating a coalition to rebuild Black Wall Street. Number one, I don't think that that's a good idea. I just spoke on that. If you're talking about a Black Wall Street on American soil, because we're still going to be using American currency and we're still going to be using resources that America does not have. America as a landmass does not have the resources to sustain the lifestyle that we are accustomed to and the lifestyle that we are trying to call ourselves defending here in America. It doesn't have the resources. The only way that it gets those resources is by taking from Africa. So Black Wall Street, to me, it misses the point of our liberation movement. It focuses on our comfort in our jail cell instead of focusing on our liberation. So I wouldn't, if I was to create such a coalition, it would not be to rebuild Black Wall Street here. It would either be to get us out of here or get us into a nation or get us to a point where Africa is sovereign in its resource control, and then we have fair trade where, you know, something like that, where we would still have to obviously decrease our standard of living in the US. So no matter what, we're not going to have what you guys think we want. It's not possible without, you know, raping Africa is a catch-22. You got to think about that. So that wouldn't be what I use the coalition for, is to rebuild Black Wall Street. Now, using one or two of the top leaders from every black group of individuals, Panthers, NOI, NAACP, etc. You guys gotta realize too that a lot of these groups are control opposition. Again, like I said, like NAACP. First of all, they still calling y'all colored people. Come on now, it's 2016. This organization is they only appear when it's politically convenient for them. They don't stand up when it matters. They haven't actually done anything to promote change. This organization has been around for like, what, 100 years, and Congress still votes every 25 years on whether black people are 3/5 of a person or a real person. The last vote was taken in 2007 to decide whether black people were a whole person or 3/5 of a person. I don't know if y'all heard me. 2007, they just voted to see if y'all were still people. And the NAACP has not raised a peep to try to make that portion of the Civil Rights Act permanent, where it's not a vote every 25 years. President Obama passed 180 executive orders that bypass Congress and the Senate and go straight into law. Not one of them was to make that law permanent. But y'all still want to sit here and believe that these politicians got y'all best interests at heart, and that I'm crazy for wanting to get the hell up out of here. No, y'all crazy. Farrakhan ain't raised a peep about trying to make that law permanent. When do we get together on this, and when can we leave? We can leave whenever we're ready. But I would suggest, again, step one, every black person who don't got a passport, get a passport now. They are making it harder every single day for you to get a passport, and giving a new reason every single day, and making it more expensive every single day. Get a passport now. It's good for 20 or like 15, 20 years. I gotta look at mine, but it's good for a long ass time. Get a passport now, and then get your plan together. Black Wall Street on American soil, no way, they'll just burn it down. Exactly. You know, a lot of these things we're not the first generation. And I know when you become awake and you start to see things for the first time, you believe that you're the first one that came up with that idea. And you know, this is like revolutionary shit. We are not the first generation to think of black economics. Black Wall Street happened, and Black Wall Street was burned to the ground. They said it was a race riot, but there was bombs dropped from planes. They said that those was planes that people, you know, white people who was racist, they got in the planes that was owned by black people, and they flew over the cities and they dropped dynamite out of the planes. So, cause all of a sudden dynamite can blow a whole building from the ground. It can do that. And these people was flying in a plane with the window down with exact precision to drop dynamite on buildings and blow them to smithereens. And you know, I mean, this makes perfect sense. So obviously the government was involved in what happened. Those buildings were demolished by air warfare. It's obvious. You can look at the pictures. There's no way that's a stick of dynamite falling out of a plane that some racist white dude threw. Come on now, man. So Black Wall Street happened. Black Wall Street was burned to the ground. You know, we're not the first generation to think about fighting back. The Panthers happened. The Panthers tried. They did what they did. They not only fought back physically, they fought back, you know, with politics. They fought back with programs that still stand to this day. The Black Panther started WIC. A lot of people don't know that. The Black Panther started that whole program. You know, they were a real movement, but you see what happened to them. We've tried that. You know, our ancestors have tried non-violence. Martin Luther King, you know, we know how that turned out. You know, and they have after they murdered him, now they have what I want to say, made him into a monument. Now he's a beacon for them, you know, to use, because he's the one who told us to sit back and accept everything, you know, with a smile and turn the other cheek. You know, so we've tried that. Our ancestors have tried uniting in America, becoming one voice. That was the civil rights movement. We've tried everything that there is to try here, and we always see how it ends. Now our generation comes and we thinks, okay, we're the first ones to think of this idea. Let's do it. Okay, I'm not going to say don't do it, because it looks like, you know, unity in any way is great. But we got to learn from the lessons of the past and not do the exact same thing again, and not take, you know, the lesson and do what's different. We've done, in my opinion, everything except for try to lead. You know what I mean? When do we try that? And what's the worst that can happen? You know what I mean? What other incentive do we have to still be here? You know what I mean? What more motivation do you need? So what actions do we take to build a coalition strong enough to not only defeat these animals, but defend our posts? Focus on one thing at a time. If our goal is to start contributing to Africa's sovereignty, then we need to stop contributing to its demise. That's number one. We can't do anything positive for Africa while we are contributing to its destruction. So, as far as building a coalition, what would be the goal of a coalition besides, like right now, if you're talking about once we have a sovereign nation and maybe building something to protect it, or do you mean like a coalition for our rights? Or I'm not sure. Just let me know more about what you're saying. We're on the same page, bro. Great to hear it come from someone else like me. I've tried to word it in as little words as possible. I look at what Akon has done, and it's something I've always wanted to achieve. I was meaning a coalition on African soil, using what resources we have now as a collective as whole. Yeah, absolutely. Well, again, I talked about Akon. I don't know if you saw that part of the video, but I'm not too thrilled about what it turned out Akon actually was doing with Chinese money. I was meaning a coalition on African soil. Okay, yeah, that's something I can get with. I mean, if we actually get to a point, or when we actually get to the point where we have enough of our people and enough of our quote unquote leaders, and it may not even be the leaders who we see right now as leaders, because new people are going to step up and new people are going to be followed based on having, you know, similar goals to the people who see what's real. A lot of our politicians and leaders right now who are leaders because the people who put them in office have old world views, you know what I mean? And that's just the way that it is right now. It doesn't mean those are the leaders that we need to lead us out of this rut that we're in. So I think that if we can get to a point where we have enough of our people united on the stance of getting our resources under our own control, absolutely we would be a powerful coalition on the African continent. I think that's the only way it can happen, but we have to get to the African continent for that to happen. We can't do it from here, you know what I mean? And pretty soon, as everybody knows, we won't be able to leave from here. You know, martial law is around the corner. Something's happening every day to make it harder to go. That has to be priority number one. I'm totally against having another Black Wall Street here in America. Why? It's America's last days, not ours. If it wasn't for God's chosen people, America wouldn't be here. Overstand? And at the same time, that's the exact point being made. If we weren't here, it wouldn't be here. And that's not something of the past. It's not just saying that we built it, so if we didn't literally lay the bricks, it wouldn't physically be here. That's true, but that's not all that means. Literally, this country will not even be able to sustain itself without us constantly being here. It's a constant give and take, or take and take. It's not, you know, they will not survive. That's what you need to that's what we need to understand. We must relocate, then unite. Exactly. You can never defeat the American government. They will drop a nuke before they lay down. Jalen, you know that I know. You know that I know. But what I also know is that no country will ever nuke Africa. That's the ultimate bluff on the African people. Everybody in the world knows that if you were to contaminate African resources, or contaminate African soil, or contaminate the food or the water that feeds the entire globe, then what did you really accomplish besides your own death? So that's the ultimate bluff to get African countries to never even think to question or fight back against a European invading force, because they think that those nukes are going to come. Those nukes ain't coming. Them motherfuckers ain't stupid. So they won't drop a nuke, but they will do everything under their power, yes, you know, but it's not about defeating them right now. It's about taking ourselves out of their ranks. You know, it's about getting ourselves out of the belly of the beast. And then you'll see how strong the beast really is without you. Could you turn around and punch it right in the face, and what could it do? You know what I mean? You have to realize we are the batteries in this machine. You know what I mean? And without us, the engine stops. So if you're going to turn around and try to fight it, you know, for instance, you in a prison, the doors open up, you can walk right out. Why would you sit back and say, no, I'm going to fight for control of this prison? My daddy built this prison. I'm finna take over. But the door is open. You can just leave out. It's still a prison. You think your daddy wanted you to stay in here just because he was forced to build it against his will? It's a prison, bro. Go outside. You know what I mean? So that's how you defeat them. Exactly. Many talkers and explorers of our plight. People following people who leads them nowhere. The likes of Umar Johnson used to be more than talk, saying the obvious is not enough. Each has to take their destiny in their own hands. That's true, man. If you can't practice what you're preaching about, then you should be quiet. I mean, just taking up space. Umar Johnson, the brother, couldn't get a donation to go to school, or whatever. What was that? What, Umar? Or was that he the one they said was with a stripper? I mean, like, the media will crucify you if you start getting some attention saying you're trying to do something positive for black people. You know what I mean? He was actually trying to take some action. You got to actually, you know what I'm saying, do what you're talking about. So this brother, you know, I love what his efforts were, and you know, it's sad that every time somebody tries to actually put their words into functional action, you know, something like that, you know, they get that media crucifixion, and even our own people, some of our own celebrities, you know, jump in and help the media crucify our you know, our supporter. American government is the modern day slave owner. Tell me about it. Coalition for protecting our rights and our people. America can be defeated. It's written. Shit is gonna be. It's prophecy. No one will ever nuke African continent. Nuke on their own soil, not Africa. Omar is good. Nuke on their own soil, not. Oh yeah, they'll nuke. Of course, they'll nuke their own people. They will, and their own people don't believe it. But anybody with sense, and we know it. We know they will. It looks like it says my connection is getting weak. I'm not sure. I'm gonna give it a minute, but if it doesn't clear up, I'm just gonna log out for a little minute, and I'll be back to talk more about it. But yeah, I guess we've got on a different topic than the African experience, but there's nothing wrong with that. Productive conversation is always good for the soul.
One to be the opening act at the iHeartRadio Music Festival. Visit iHeartRadio.com/Rising Star to cash your vote and to enter for a chance to win your way to the iHeartRadio Music Festival. iHeartRadio.com/Rising Star.
I like the fact that you have been to the continent, and once you've been, the blindfold is removed, you see the world differently. It's true, man. I'm telling you, from the time you get off the plane, you just feel all the stereotypes just being broken. From the time you meet a person there for the first time, man, it's an experience. You gotta feel it. Good morning, Laquita. How you doing? Good morning, Rodney. Rondell, sorry. Morning, bro. Jalen, people, please do realize not to divide us by race, but the black African American culture is the toughest mentally and physically. Ask yourself, if we all picked up and left, what would America do? That's a good question. I'm gonna leave it like that. I'll let people answer you, Jalen. Jalen, my little brother, by the way, by blood. That's my bro. That's my little bro. He had a question. I mean, it's a legit question to me. And to me, it's posed at our own people. What would they do without us? We complain a lot about how we hate this and we would change that, or, you know, but why do we see our own contributions? Are we willing to let go of the comfort to really take a stab at the beast? I am. I was. I am still. When you learn about your history, you can see the oppression which the black community is still enslaved mentally. I can't lie, when you're on this journey, it sometimes feels like you're walking alone. Well, that's true, man, but we gotta fix that. That's what we're here to do. I mean, we need to find a way where we don't need somebody else's platform for us to do it, but it's good that we can at least use it for that purpose instead of using it to spread, propaganda or stereotypes or talk about nonsense. At the very least, we can do that. King, what's going on, bro? What made you want to move to Africa, and where did you live before you moved? Well, I wanted to move to Africa I wanted to visit Africa for a long time. But what made me finally get a chance to go was I had a coworker who worked with me in Maryland, and she went back to visit her family, and it gave me the opportunity to choose a country, which was Ghana, out of the 54. And I went with her, and it ended up being like my home away from slave dungeon. So I ended up going back, and that was it, the magic. Where did I live before that? Maryland. I was living in Maryland, close to DC. Great words of speaking from other. I would love to hear more. Yeah, I knew for the longest time that I wanted to go to Africa, but how do you pick where to go? It's the biggest landmass on the planet. How do you choose just where do you want to pinpoint and land and get off the plane? So the opportunity arose for me to go to Ghana, and I feel like it was the best thing that ever happened to me. And I think it's a good place. It's a good starting point if you're African American or if you're of African descent and you want to go to the continent and you're trying to learn more about your culture or whatever. It's a good place to go. It's a really good place. It's almost made for that purpose, to be a transition back in. How do the people of Arabic descent treat Africans, like in Ghana, for example? Arabic descent. If you're talking about the more lighter skinned people, like what you see in Egypt movies, how do they treat black people in Ghana? Well, first of all, in Ghana, black people are the majority, so there wouldn't necessarily be any particular way for them to treat us that they wouldn't regret, or anybody else for that matter. So we don't in Ghana know there's not really an issue with anyone treating African people a certain type of way racially. My first trip to Mama Africa in '01 has been an eye-opener spiritually. Ethiopia was my first stop, then Ghana, and been going forward ever since. No regrets. That's awesome. And especially if you have the opportunity to go to more than one country, I want to go to Cairo. I want to sit my ass in the Pharaoh's pyramid. That's what I want to do. So it's really awesome though that you had the opportunity to go to different countries and that you've had a great experience in each one. So you know it's not a fluke. You know, Africa is home. With respect, I hold. Huh? I'm on live. To do what? Oh. How heavy is the Chinese influx and how is it affecting the economic opportunities? See, the thing is, China, I talked about this a little bit yesterday too, but China there's a lot of Chinese people in Ghana because China has a quote unquote relationship where they have an oil deal with Ghana. So the Chinese are coming in by, I think there's at least 1 million. It has to be. They come because the Chinese companies want to pay their own people to build the factories, and they don't want to educate the Ghanaian engineers on how to build and maintain the pumping and refining machines, because they charge Ghana 50% of its oil, of the oil that it gets to keep. It charges Ghana 50% of that oil just to rent the machines that pump it out of the ground. And so they don't necessarily employ, they bring their own citizens into Ghana by the millions to employ them to run and build these factories. So how it affects the economic opportunities that already existed in Ghana, it doesn't, because they come, they build their factories, they hire their own people. Then there's some Chinese people who go out into the city and build their restaurants or whatever the case may be, but they're still, Ghanaians have no issue going out and getting their own and building their restaurants too. You know, Ghanaian food is more popular in Ghana than Chinese food is, so it's not gonna, you know, the influx is a large influx. You see a lot of Chinese people, but it doesn't necessarily, I can't say whether it has affected them or how long it has been affecting them, because I, again, have only have like 5 years experience in this, but from what I can see, that's not one of the major factors of like Ghanaians not being able to, a Ghanaian who can't get a job is not going to be because a Chinese person got the job. You know, that's not something that's an issue. China invested 60 million in Africa. After a while, they will have it that Africa is not black, and the sleepyheads will believe more lies. Yeah, Africa, China, anytime there's an investment, quote unquote, in Africa from one of these countries, you better believe that the deposit or the withdrawal that's coming back is going to be way more massive than whatever they claim to have put in. And whatever they claim to have put in is not going to go to anything that will make the people more sovereign or make the people more wealthy. They need those people to be exactly in the position that they are in right now, because that is their labor force. If these people suddenly get more money or suddenly come out of desperation, these companies and these conglomerates and these countries who get their wealth from these slave laborers will all crumble overnight. What do you do for a living? I, I do architecture and design. Me and my business partner, we started a firm called Dream Crafters Architecture. Does it let me make a comment? I'll try to leave it in the comments. Yeah. You can go check out our Facebook page. Oops, typo. So anyway, we do architecture and design services, and occasionally when we do a really great job and impress our customer with the design, they'll ask us to do the construction as well. Alright, there we go. So I just posted a link to our Facebook page, and that'll tell you a little bit more about what we actually do. PayPal is not accepted in Ghana. What is the comparable digital currency payment method out there? Is PayPal not accepted in Ghana? Most people, yeah, they have Western Union. You can do MoneyGram. There's a lot of ways to transfer money. And then as far as digital currency, you can go to the bank and get a debit card and you can get cards. I don't know. I'm not sure. I've never tried to use PayPal. I've never had a PayPal, so I'm not sure how that works. They have Western Union. Yeah, they have Western Union. Do you think the government is taking full advantage of the Chinese-Ghanaian relationship, or vice versa, as the Chinese are getting over? There's a difference between the governments and the people. Most governments do what is in their own best interest, and again, part of that, especially with China, making deals with China, making deals with the U.S., making deals like that, it entails that the people have to stay in the position that they're in. So most times you'll see that there will be a leader who's living lavishly or not having any issues of finances, but the people will be in dire straits. And that's a pandemic going across a lot of African countries where you see stuff like that. So it's, when I said relationship in quotations, when I was mentioning Ghana and China's relationship, I meant that it's like, it's a relation. It's not really a beneficial relationship. China gets access to a big chunk of Africa's oil in exchange for some machines that they use to get the oil out of the ground. That's not a deal. What is that? Not a deal. So I think China definitely is getting the bigger end of the stick. And as soon as Ghana figures out what's going on, like, these things are details that the average person doesn't even pay attention to. So when people start to look at things like this as the issue, and they focus their efforts on fixing stuff like that instead of voting to do this or voting to do that, you know, things change. But yeah, right now the Chinese government is definitely winning over in that deal. How much does it cost to get over there? It's about $1,300 round trip is about the max. If you trying to get it like within days, you're gonna pay a lot. If you give yourself like 3 months, you probably get it between 700 or 800. How is the cost of living compared to America? So in America, you can probably end up paying somewhere between $9, $12, $15, $18, some odd $100 a month for a 2-bedroom apartment. My 2-bedroom apartment is $1,200 for 2 years. So that's like $50 a month. And the way that the money has translated, now a difference from 2 years ago of almost double. When I renew my lease, it'll be $800, 800 and some change to renew for 2 more years. So the cost of living is really low in comparison to the American cost of living. Your average electricity bill, your gas bill, petrol will be more than your monthly rent easily. How's the postal system? Are there postal offices like in the U.S.? How difficult is to send and receive packages internationally? International mail is basically the majority of the mail, so it's really easy to receive packages internationally. People have mailboxes, but most people have P.O. boxes. There's a lot of post offices, yes, because it's almost the opposite of the U.S. In the U.S., just about every single house has a mailbox, and people would elect if they want to have a P.O. box, and they go up and get one. In Ghana, the majority of people have P.O. boxes, and you can order a mailbox, and then the post office, the services will add your house to their route, because the majority of people prefer to get their mail from the post office in a locked box. So it's similar to our postal system, but it's kind of in reverse. They have post offices, they have mail trucks, but most people have a P.O. box. It's not high to live in Ghana. No, it's not. Ghana is relatively very cheap. A very cheap place to live. From rent to food, it's very affordable. Are you hip to aquaponics? No, why don't you hit me on that? What is that? What's the taxi system like out there? The community and transportation network. So there's like so many taxis you would never have to even imagine calling a taxi number. You just hail a cab. There's like 1 billion trillion taxis. And then they have city buses, which is like our city buses, but they mostly go to the government buildings and the actual historical sites and all that. But then you have what's called the Trotro, which is like a series of vans and buses, like 1 million of them, and they just go at all times. They stop at the corners, they get out and tell you where they're headed, and you jump in one. You pay like it's the cheapest way to travel. It's like literally cents. to go where you're trying to go, and then you get out. And so as far as public transportation, people are going to get you where you got to go. Like, we get up in the morning, we decide what we want to do. Like, if I don't want to drive, or if I don't feel like getting on my motorcycle or whatever, we'll just take the trotro. You go to the corner, you wait, one pulls up, somebody's gonna get out and say, we're going to Ashaman, going to Osu, going to Takrade, or not Takrade because that's too far, but they'll be going to the bus station that will take you to Takrade. And so you get into the bus and you'll pay, and then they'll tell them where you're going. They'll calculate everybody's fares. The bus guy, he's like super smart calculator. He knows how many people got in, where each one's going, what their fee is, and this and that. It's really cool. But yeah, transportation is pretty reliable. You always have a bus coming, whether you want to take the city bus, the trotro, the taxi, whether you have your own car. Good transportation system. There's traffic like hell though. They were doing this program last year called Project Move Traffic Forward or something like that. I'm not sure how successful it was. But yeah, they have a pretty good transportation network. What about medical expenses? Like insurance. Some people get insurance through their job. Most people pay for their own medical care, though. Most people do. And that's why, I won't say that's why, but holistic medicine is really popular too. So, is there any gangs out there like in the States? No. I didn't see any like of what we see over here with like gang affiliation and this and that. You'll see a lot of imitation of it. You know, just like there's a lot of American imitation in a lot of ways. You know, just almost idolatry from some of the younger generation. But yeah, it's not real. Like, I haven't seen any like gang warfare. Most people don't have, like, it's hard to find a regular citizen with a gun to even be in a gang. So yeah, it's definitely not like it is in the States when it comes to like gangs and stuff. I'm interested in farming, poultry production, and other food products. How's the labor force? Yeah, there's always people to work. If you want to open up a farm or open up a compound or whatever you want to do, and you let people know that there's work available, you'll have people that'll come in and help you. As far as the labor force, yeah, for sure. How is the medical care? You actually, I talked about this yesterday. You got the traditional medicines where they have like what's called like an aponte clinic, where you actually can be seen by an herbalist or a traditional holistic doctor. They treat everything from stomach illnesses to like skin disease to broken bones to everything else, and they use herbal mixtures and wraps, and that's all they use. And they've got like proof and pictures and hundreds of clients and this and that, and people come from other countries to study these techniques. So the medical care is good. They have both traditional and Western medicine. As far as Western medicine goes, they've got a lot of hospitals. They've got just about everything that you can imagine medically. You wouldn't really be missing anything in that realm. Do you speak their language or they speak English? Ghana is an English-speaking country, but I also have been learning their language. The main language in the area I live is called Twi, and yeah, it's not required that you learn it because most people can speak English. But if you're going to be actually calling yourself moving to another country and you want to live there, why not try to learn their language? What's the residency requirement for dual citizenry? For residency, you've got to either be there for 7 years or no, not residency, that's citizenship. Residency, you have to either have a house there, or you either have to have a house that you have an open lease, or you have to build a house, or you have to have a company that hires locals. So if you have any of those three things, you should be able to apply for residency and get it. A process of breeding fish and growing your own vegetables at the same time. It's a real long topic for me to explain on here, but go to YouTube and aquaponics and yeah. Okay, yeah, I'll look into it. It sounds like something economic to do for sure. In Ghana, all the fish are caught directly from the sea every day, so they don't have to farm the fish, and they don't necessarily, you know, it's all a natural process. They've been going to the sea every day for the last however many thousands of years, and every day when they come back with those nets, there's always enough fish for the people who need to eat. And so it's something. If it's not broken, don't fix it. Do it the natural way. But it seems like if you're in a place where that's not possible anymore, or your sea's been contaminated, or you know you living in a place where most of your food is already farmed and bred, and your fish are already like that, it's a good, you know, plan to do something to survive. When I was in Accra in 01, I remember meeting some Black Panther police officers, and this conversation was uplifting. I'm wondering if you've seen any of them. I don't know if they were actually the ones, me anyway. I don't know if they were Black Panthers per se, but I've had a lot of great conversations with Ghanaian police officers. I think the first time, well, I'm not going to put that guy out there like that, but they're very friendly, and you know, sometimes you can even have done something like not wore a seatbelt or not had your Ghanaian license at the time you were driving. But you know, they're not going to try to crucify you about it. But you know, and when you do actually get a chance to, every time I actually had a chance to talk to one of them, it always turned into they hear how the police in America act, and they just can't believe it. So it just helped. I feel good about the fact that, you know, it's not a global thing with the way that, you know, the police are treated. Well, it's not an African thing, you know, and they do see it, and that is appalling. Like, it's almost unheard of to think that a Ghanaian police officer would shoot an unarmed Ghanaian citizen. That's unheard of, you know, but in America, it's everyday, you hear it and nobody cares. It's so common. So I have conversations like that with them that is kind of uplifting. I don't know if I've actually met any Black Panthers though. I have a small deep water aquaponics test system that I believe is important health-wise, also moving forward to sovereign nation. Yeah, it's definitely an idea. There's nothing wrong with having plans for individual survival, for sure. Where are you, if you don't mind me asking? I am on the planet Earth. Why does everybody want to know where I'm at? What's up? How you doing? I'm sitting here on live. Yeah. Alright. With citizenship, how long do you have to be in Ghana to get citizenship? On the website, on the embassy website, it says like 7 years. You're supposed to have residency first, and then be a resident for up to 7 years, and then apply for citizenship. But for African diaspora Africans, there's a lot of ways to, if you actually have already decided, it's all about really when you're ready. If you've decided that you're ready to go for citizenship, there's all kinds of ways to expedite the process, because they have ways where some of them, they will actually check your ancestry to see if you are from anywhere around the region. Some of them, they don't care. They'll just, you know, give you, you know what I'm saying? It just depends. So just look into it. But if you go in the official way, or if you're not sure what your ancestry is, or if you just anybody who just might want to go after Ghanaian citizenship, I think there's on the website it explains that there's a 7-year requirement. When I'm home, I'll be in Nema. You know where that is? Oh no, I'm not. I'm not sure where Nema is. Do you know where Tema is? Can you step out the car and show us the neighborhood? What do you want to see this neighborhood for? Yes. Okay, yeah, so that's around where I'm at. In Tema, Sakamono. Yeah. Right by Spintex. Do you know about Ghana's right to abode? Yeah, that's what I was talking about, as far as there's ways, 7-year things for just anybody, but for us, there's ways to get it done faster if you look into those programs. I've also been to Cape Coast and Takoradi. Me too. When I went to Cape Coast was to go to the slave dungeons. I talked about that yesterday. It was such an experience.